Hello, everybody, and thank you for sitting in with us on another episode of RSBNB Updates Supplemental. This week, joining us is Touchpad Pro on RuneScape.
Hi.
How are you doing today, good sir?
Excellent, thank you.
Excellent, glad to hear that. We're going to be talking about this week's update, the Master Skillcapes, but first, I'll just remind everybody that if you want to see more of what RSBNB Update and RSBNB in general puts out, just be sure to head on over to Twitter at RSBNB Staff, and everything is all there. Alright, so this week's update is the Master Skillcapes that are awarded when a player reaches 120, which is roughly 104 million experience. You volunteered yourself to come on and discuss this update, and I assume it's got a personal connection to you, am I right?
Well, yeah. I've been pretty much waiting for this update to come. Not exactly the level 120 capes, but just some kind of pat on the back for people who got a lot of XP past level 99.
Alright. So, how many skills do you have that are at the 120 or 104 million XP mark?
So far, I have 2 skills: fire making and agility.
Alright, those are good skills. What was your initial motivation for taking those beyond 99?
Well, agility was my first 200 mil skill, and I got that pretty much because I kind of wanted to. Actually, I wanted to quit the game, and I wanted to exit in a way that I would leave a mark in the game, so to speak. And I couldn't really find any better way to do that than getting on front page and the high scores.
Oh,
And
yeah.
agility was pretty much the most open skill to do that. Afterwards, I just did fire making because it was pretty relaxing, and I just wanted to do something for a lot of total XP. That seems that fire making just seems to be a nice way to do that.
Alright, that's completely understandable. So, this was one of the first power player updates that has made it into the game. What was your reaction when you first heard the poll pertaining to these capes and the idea that we'd get a decision on this?
Well, since I can get at least one of the capes, I was pretty happy about it. Then I felt like, yay, finally I can show off all the XP I have in at least agility. And to be honest, I was quite surprised it didn't come before. The first clan I was in RuneScape was called True Masters of Agility, and the name from that was pretty much inspired by the dungeoneering skill, with True Mastery being at level 120.
Oh, okay.
So we pretty much figured that all skills would be raised to 120 at some point. But yeah, we didn't exactly expect this to take so long.
Alright, fair enough. Another thing I wanted to ask, did RuneScape need these capes in order to give people, higher level players in particular, something to work towards? If these capes were indeed needed, was there a better option somewhere, or is the cape the way to go? Other options might be expanding to a real level 120 with content, the player prestige system that was voted on last year, or maybe something else?
Well, I think they definitely need to make some attraction in the game for high level players, since the high scores are pretty much dead from being flooded with people having 200 mil XP in every skill. I think this will be kind of short-lived. I think the most people who go through this will be because it's their favorite skill, or they're already close to getting the cape. Well, definitely there need to be something getting people to keep working in the game, with almost 7,000 max people and stuff like that. I think this all also mean that there are going to be a lot of more people going for 200 mil in those skills, since they're already halfway there. I think expanding the actual skill levels to 120 with actual content going all the way up there would mean extremely fast leveling methods and XP. So I don't really think that would be a viable option.
All right.
The prestige system might work since people could just keep playing on and on forever with nothing really stopping them. However, I think one of the motivations for people to keep working in a skill is that there is some kind of ending goal, be it 200 mil XP, or now there are Master Capes, or a few people going for 200 mil in all skills. Prestige would kind of kill that. But also the competitive side of RuneScape is already dying from way too many people getting 200 mil in skills.
Fascinating. I never really thought of it in that manner, and that's a very interesting way of thinking about it, that creating these capes creates a competitive atmosphere in the game, and going for 200 million XP also does that, but eventually people will have 200 million XP and those people will stop doing that. And the prestige system, you said, is not an answer for that because it creates an endless cycle. That is what you said, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Well, I think the prestige system might work better if they kind of split the high scores. I believe they actually thought of doing that with one high score for the prestige system and one kind of old school high score for the people who wanted to go for 200 million skills. But I think most people didn't really either they didn't read the update thoroughly or they just didn't understand it.
Yeah, and going back to the prestige system, I think that was one thing that was not clearly conveyed, is that there would be two high score systems, the old system and the prestige system. But, thinking based on what you said, that the prestige system creates an endless cycle as there's no end game goal to work for, maybe that isn't what the game is looking for currently. So maybe prestige wasn't actually the answer on that. Very interesting perspective, and we'll have to discuss that at a later date because there's a whole wide ramifications of directions this could go. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a very interesting perspective. Now, are these capes ultimately going to change the perception of when a skill is truly maxed, or will they just be cosmetic novelty? Such as, will getting 99 divination be meaning you're maxed in divination, or will you need to go all the way to the fictitious 120 divination?
Well, I think when you talk about individual skills, then it will kind of mean that maxing a skill is going to be level 120, at least because that's the highest kind of symbol you can show for working up there. I mean, if you get 200 mil XP in a skill, then you can't really show that to anybody, but 120 cape, that's a visible sign. I think most people already consider being really maxed in a skill is 200 mil. But I really think this is going to change the way a lot of people consider maxing a skill. It's going to be beyond 99.
Right.
I don't think it will change anything. I don't think it'll change anything when you talk about like maxing all skills, because level 120 is way too hard for most people to really ever go for. Maxing like with level 99, that takes years already, but with level 120, that would take way over a decade. I think only a few people really consider going for the Master Capes at all, because you can only wear one at a time. So once you have one Master Cape, you'll either have to do it in a harder skill or something like that.
Right.
I think if people really go for more than one Master Cape, it's not as much for the capes as it's to the 200 mil ranks or whatever that's going to be.
That's a very interesting perspective there, Touchpad, and I'm glad that we had this chance to sit down together and talk about this update and provide this unique perspective on it. Is there anything else you'd like to throw in pertaining to these Master Capes?
No, I think we covered pretty much all of it.
Alrighty. Well, that's Touchpad Pro. Do you have a Twitter or YouTube channel or anything you want to tell our listeners about?
Not that I really use that often, so no.
All right. Well, you can look Touchpad Pro up. That's his RuneScape username. You can look at his stats and see his level 120s in fire making and agility. So thank you for being with us there, Touchpad. And for everybody else who is listening, remember that you can subscribe to us if you like what you hear. And this will be, of course, the lead up to RSBandB Update 463, recorded this Saturday. Thank you, Touchpad.